feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's sink or swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank in the Boca Raton studio where street smarts and book smarts collide. I'm your host, Jason Hill, sitting with my co-host, Roland Kidwell, the director over at the FEU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. You catch the entire episode on iTunes as well as the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank Podcast.com. We had an exciting episode today. We had a podcaster in our studio today, and she told all the techniques and all the tricks to running a podcast. And Roland has a close tie to her, being he went to Tulane and his kids Tulane, and he wants to introduce our guest today.
Well, it's Jaime Legagneur,
Yay!
And she is the owner and founder of Flintstone Media,
Yep.
and also the host and chief enthusiasm officer of the Florida Podcast Network.com. And I tell you what, you are certainly the chief enthusiasm officer. Tell us a little bit about the Florida Podcast Network.
Sure. So the Florida Podcast Network's mission is to celebrate Florida, one local voice at a time. And so we do that by highlighting different brands and businesses. We want to build shows that really celebrate different corners of Florida. When you think about it, from all the way down in the south end of Florida, all the way up to the Panhandle, we have so much diversity of culture and experiences and people. We have our coasts, we have our Everglades, our swamps, all of that. There's so many different things you can do here. And travel and tourism is our number one industry. So the Florida Podcast Network is built and designed to really promote all of that stuff and encourage the Florida economy. So we want to highlight brands and businesses based in Florida.
Nice. And what about some tricks for podcasters out there? Any tips? They want to become a podcaster. What do? They go to your website? Do they go to YouTube? How do they learn?
Well, FlintstoneMedia.com is a great place to start.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. But aside from that, I would say your best resources are other podcasts that you can listen to learn. There are tons of podcasts about podcasting. I would say School of Podcasting is number one. And then The Feed by Libsyn, I would say, is my number two. Listen to those and go to conferences and talk to other podcasters about how they got started. But before you even press record that first time, really flesh out your show, know what your goal is, what your message is, what you want to do with the show, and then figure out how to turn that into a format and present the content in the tone that's going to work.
Yes, and listen to this episode because she taught us so many different tips and tricks. I know even us here at the Shrimp Tank, we're going to take some of those pointers down and add them to our podcast itself. Well, thanks for coming out to the Shrimp Tank today.
Yeah.
Loved having you out as a guest. I know you're going to come out on November 13th to our big fitness event as well. So guests listening, you could definitely catch her there as well.
Yeah.
But how could they get in touch with you if they want to learn about you?
Sure. So if you want some podcast production assistance, you can find me at flintstonemedia.com. And if you're a local brand or business who's interested in highlighting your show, either by having your own podcast or being part of a podcast or advertising on one, you can go to floridapodcastnetwork.com/partner with us.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show. And everyone listening, you can catch the entire episode on iTunes, as well as the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank Podcast.com. Thanks again for watching. We'll see everyone next week at 4 p.m. Take care.